Good morning. I'm honored to join you again this year. Last year, Carol Hinton, she's back there, told me that I was the first legislator invited to speak to the TechAmerica Deltek conference, and being invited back makes me feel like I passed the test. So, what I want to do this morning is start by giving you a little quiz. Okay, hopefully you can tell me what the words uttered by the following assembly members last week have in common. Okay, West Chesborough, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the jungle. Tom Amiano, I would prefer that the membership be increased by 2.5 men. Tony Atkins, here comes Honey Boo Boo. Cacho Achadian, Chucky Ducky, Gilbert Cedillo, we don't need no stinking badges. Colonel Cook, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Speaker Pro Tem Fiona Ma, Honey Badger don't care. Cameron Smythe, I got 98 problems, but this bill ain't one. The answer that some of you may know is that they're all playing legislative bingo. It happens the last week of session when participating assembly members are given a phrase to slip into the floor debate. It's corny, but it keeps everyone focused, including staff and members of the third house, while we vote up and down on a few hundred bills. The best, in my opinion, was by Assemblymember Linda Haldeman when she inserted all 7 dwarfs into the following statement. This isn't the time to be bashful. As a doc, I'm happy to support decreasing health care costs, but it makes me a little grumpy when medical decision-making is effectively interfered with by some dopey, non-medical bureaucrat who cannot identify a sleepy patient from a sneezy one. Well, 2 major bills were passed the last day of session, one on pension reform and one on workers' compensation reform. It's true that the pension bill does not solve the current unfunded liability problem, and that's because there are numerous court cases that have ruled that public agencies cannot take away or reduce a benefit promised to active employees. But it does eliminate the most egregious abuses like pension spiking. It requires current employees to contribute more and dramatically reduces the benefit for future employees, thus bending down the long-term cost curve. So it will have an effect over time. The workers' compensation bill represented months of negotiations between labor and business. It increased benefits for permanently disabled workers, which labor wanted, and it added controls that will reduce premiums by 18%, which business wanted. And I will tell you, it's not often that you find labor and the Chamber of Commerce on the same side of a bill. Information technology is very important to me and important to the state of California. When you read about the state parks scandal, it is not just about one rogue employee who gamed the system. It's about the controller and the Department of Finance using 2 different accounting methods, one cash and one accrual. It's also about an accounting system that predates collective bargaining. In fact, the collective bargaining legislation was signed into law when Jerry Brown was governor the first time. That's how old our system is. It's also to continue means that, it's also as we continue to invest in new systems like Fiscal, our managers will have the proper tools to be able to detect these kinds of problems. Because on the one hand, you say, why isn't someone taking a look at the cash and reports and making sure they're balanced? But on the other hand, if you don't have reports that can give you that information, it makes it very difficult. There were 4 technology bills, Robert referred to a few of them, that passed out of the legislature that I would like to highlight today. The first, which he mentioned, your top priority, was SB 1161, authored by Senator Padilla, which restricts the California Public Utilities Commission from regulating VoIP. I was a co-author of the bill because I do not believe that California should regulate the internet. Competition works extremely well in the technology industry, as all of you know. Today we have more low-income households using cell phones than landlines. When the first Motorola flip phones were introduced, some of you remember them because they were about this big. Remember, it was a really big deal. You know, I was a single mother of 5 school-aged children, and I needed a cell phone so I could stay connected to all of them. Some of the calls were important. You know, I had 2 different calls, one when my son broke his collarbone in PE at school. Some of them weren't quite so important. I got a phone call once walking into a classroom on back-to-school night from my son, and he wanted to know what the recipe for chocolate chip cookies was. But the point I want to make about the cell phone, when I use the example, is that back when I had the big Motorola flip phone, I paid over $600 a month for my cell phone bill. Today, on my little BlackBerry, and I'm going to replace it pretty soon, I pay a little over $100 a month. And not only do I have unlimited phone service, but I am able to, I have a data plan. I'm able to access the internet for email or for other activities. So when you take a look at competition in the industry, it has done well. It's driven down prices, it's increased our access, and it's working for everyone, whether you're at the low-income level or whether you're at the high-income level. There are a few technology bills that I'd like to highlight in which I was either the author or was directly involved. One was a TechAmerica bill, AB 1517, and what it does is it removes the July 1, 2013 sunset date from existing statute, which gives DGS the flexibility to determine the appropriate contract withholding percentage based on a risk evaluation. Without the bill, the withholding percentage would have gone back up to 10% on all contracts. With the bill, by removing the sunset date, it allows DGS to require 5 to 10% withholding on contracts over $10 million or a 3 to 10% withholding for contracts under $10 million. And why is that important? It's important because some contracts take years to produce the final product. And some have very short periods of time. Some are big dollar contracts, some are small dollar contracts. But by being able to have that risk assessment and in many cases lower the percentage, it allows you to be more competitive and gives us a better price. So it was a simple bill to get through, but an important bill at the same time. There was another bill, SB 1006, which was one of the budget trailer bills, and that extends the 6611 authority, which is currently granted to GGS, to the California Technology Agency. This was included at my request after reading a white paper that was produced for TechAmerica and after several meetings with representatives from the industry. Now, Section 6611 of the Public Contract Code gives authority for DGS to use a negotiated process for contracts for goods, services, information technology, and telecommunications if the department finds that one or more conditions exist. The conditions relate to the ability to better define a project, business need, or solution as a result of the process. It makes sense that this authority not only apply to DGS, but apply to the technology agency. Finally, at the end of May, the Governor Brown released his second reorganization plan. The plan was submitted to the Little Hoover Commission and to the legislature. The legislature, when a governor does a reorganization plan, has 61 days to reject the plan or it becomes law. The legislature cannot change one word in the plan. You either accept the entire plan or you reject it. The only way it can be modified is through companion legislation. The plan submitted by the governor included a major reorganization of state agencies, merging 5 agencies into 3. Part of the plan created a super agency, and believe me, this is a super agency, called the Government Operations Agency. technology agency, which currently reports to the governor, was merged into we call it GOA, G-O-A, Government Operations Agency, and the technology agency was reduced to a department. So while most companies today have a chief information officer, and most states now have chief information officers, this part of the plan seemed like a big step backwards for our state. The Little Hoover Commission expressed concerns about the reporting relationship between the Chief Information Officer and the Governor. I know that TechAmerica testified as well at the Little Hoover Commission. The Speaker appointed me to chair the Assembly Committee on the Plan, and as Budget Chair for IT for the past 3 years and Chair of the Select Committee on Technology and Innovation, it became obvious to me that IT procurement has been an issue for some time. Currently, the technology agency develops IT acquisition policy, DGS develops the procedures to effectuate it, and the Department of Finance provides financial input. The trifurcated system causes large technology projects to wind through a bureaucratic labyrinth that often is conducted on a case-by-case basis according to the technology and business needs of the requesting agency, department, or staff. According to the Legislative Analyst's Office, the current approach does not allow the state to optimize service contracts, order in bulk, or to buy strategically. In some cases, and this unfortunately, I should say some, it happens all too often in my experience, the technology that we finally procure or develop is obsolete by the time the project is finally implemented. So as a result of this, and with utmost respect for the heads of both agencies, this is Fred Klass, the Director of DGS, and Carlos Ramos, the Chief Information Officer for the state of California, I negotiated 2 changes to the Governor's reorganization plan. The first will keep the will continue to have the technology agency merged into the GOA and become a department. The Chief Information Officer for this department will continue to report directly to the Governor, so we will preserve that reporting relationship. And the second change that we negotiated was that during the next 12-month implementation period for the reorganization plan, the Governor will develop a plan to transition IT procurement authority from DGS to the Department of Technology. It's my sincere hope that this will give IT the attention it deserves and allow the state to shorten the time to complete projects. So before I yield to your next distinguished speakers, Carlos Ramos and Fred Klass, I want to thank you for allowing me to share some time with you today, and I also want to say that I look forward to continuing to working with all of you during the 2013-2014 legislative session. Thank you.